Welcome to another great episode here at the Pastor's Pantry Cooking School. Cinco de Mayo is the theme of today. It is actually May 5th, and as we're recording this, and so we decided we would do a Cinco de Mayo menu for today. And so what we're going to teach you is how to make pork tamales from scratch. Okay, so this should be a lot of fun. Before I get into that, though, let me share with you, as I do every episode, the gospel of good taste, the two things that we're most passionate about around here. First, we believe that everything is about stewardship, really. I mean, everything. James 1:17 tells us that every good and perfect gift we have is given to us by God. And food is a gift that we want you to be a good steward of. And so our hope is that we're going to teach you some things today to help you make every dining experience great at your house. The second part of the gospel of good taste is that we believe God created us to be in community with one another. Jesus was constantly sitting down, eating with people, and building relationships. You know what? Food's a great metaphor for community, isn't it? And so our hope is that what we teach you today will help you when you gather folks around your table to make it the sacred place and the sacred time it was always meant to be. Well, let's go over our ingredients today. Joyce is going to share with you what we're going to use to make these tamales.
All right, this is going to serve 12. Your filling is going to be 2 pounds pork shoulder, and we braised that and shredded it. Patter Fam Chipotle Mojo. The tamale, the actual tamale part of it, is 1 pound of corn masa, 1 cup of lard, 1 cup of water, 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, and you need 1 dozen dried corn husks, and you're going to want to rehydrate those.
All right. Now we've actually got our corn husks soaking in some hot water for about an hour and getting soft. And when we get ready to make those together, we're going to take those out. Just take a paper towel and dry those before we wrap them, but that'll soften and allow us to wrap that. Well, we want to start with our masa. So I've got a pound of masa, corn masa flour in our bowl here. We're going to add to this our baking powder. Just going to spread that evenly over the top. And I'm going to put just all of our dry ingredients in there first. We're going to put our salt in there first as well. Get these dry ingredients all mixed together. And you can find masa usually in the same area of the store that you're going to find your cornmeal and your flour and all that kind of stuff. So masa is not difficult to find. All right, to that we're going to add our cup of water. And we're going to put about a tablespoon of Patter Fam Holy Cow hot sauce in here. It's going to add a little bit of heat, a little smoky flavor, and also a little bit of color to that. Mix that together a little bit. I'm about to dive in here with my hands, but I wanted to wait till I got all this lard out of here. So we've got a cup of lard. This is a vegetable shortening, actually. Lard is actually animal fat. We're using vegetable shortening. Last little bit. Now we've got to get rid of the spoon because this becomes a kneading process. So I'm just going to work my hands down in here, try to mix all of this vegetable shortening and all of this masa flour together. Just do it by hand. We just want to get it to where it's all one big piece. Thick, compact, that's what we're going for. I'll pick up these pieces that are jumping out of the bowl and get those added back in there. But I just don't know of any other way that you can bring this together except by your hands. Once I get all of this pretty well combined, I'll turn it out and we'll finish this kneading process here on the table. By keeping it in the bowl as long as I can, it keeps me from having to chase it all over the counter. So it works well this way. Okay. All right, I've got most of that vegetable shortening incorporated. Now I'm going to turn it all out and keep working it. Again, we're trying to just get all of this incorporated so we can bring it all together as one big lump of masa dough. We're just about there. It's all getting nice and sticky. Coming together nicely. This is another one of those things, just like when I do biscuits and other breads, so much of it becomes a feel. You know, you just know when it feels right. So if you ever made the really good mud pies when you were a kid, that's kind of what masa is going to feel like. It's just going to be thick, a little bit sticky, but not bad.
Could you do this in a stand mixer with the dough hook? Would it work the same way? Would it pull away from the sides?
I think it would eventually pull away from the sides, but I think you still would have to get it out so that you can do this to it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that dough hook would want to tear it apart every time it went around, but I think it could do the biggest bulk of the work for you.
Because I know if I have those questions, our audience have those questions.
That's right. Well, it's a good question to ask. See, now I can just go around here and pick these pieces up.
Or make more.
Or make more. But you can see it's kind of sticky, which is what that's allowing me to pick up these little crumbs that I have here on the table. But once we get this all combined together, we did this one time. We found some blue corn masa. It was great. So it kind of had this light blue color tamale. And so those were fun to make too. So you can kind of get experimental with that. And I'm just kneading this and getting it into a tighter ball is all I'm doing. Because when we get ready to make our tamales, we're just going to be pulling off about 2 tablespoons worth each time. So it's kind of handy just to have this as one big lump of masa. And it makes it easy to spread out. Okay. All right, so we have that all together. That's what the finished product looks like. Okay, you got that, Joyce?
I do.
All right. So we're just going to set this aside in a bowl while we get our husks ready and get our filling ready. And we'll show you as we begin to assemble that up here in a little bit. Okay, we're ready to put our tamales together. We've already put several together for the sake of time, but I want to show you how you do this. But you're going to get your corn husk. This is our corn husk. Am I on that camera right there, Joyce? We're good? So that's our corn husk, and they put those soak in just hot water for maybe an hour and a half, and now they're very soft and pliable. When you get them in a bag, and they're pretty dry, okay? So if you can shoot me straight down there, Joyce. What you want to do is put your tamale, I like to put it with the fan opened in toward me, okay? And then you want to get about 2 tablespoons worth, or maybe a golf ball size of masa, okay? So that's what we're looking at. This is that masa we already made, okay? And I like to just, again, work it a little bit, kind of get it pliable. It's almost like playing with silly putty, okay? And then we're just going to spread this out. It needs to be about as wide as it is long. And it actually works a little bit better if you can kind of taper the edges. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. And I'll tell you why. Okay, so just spread your masa out like this. Well, again, I want it just about as wide as it is long. Okay, but by tapering these edges, when I fold this together, it's going to bind together a little bit better. Okay, it folds up a little bit better. Then we're going to take about a tablespoon or 2 of our pork filling. Again, this was pork that we slow braised with our Patterfam, our own recipe. It's a Patterfam Mojo sauce. Okay, and so you're just going to put that down the middle. And then we want to just take one edge of this and roll it up, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to take the other edge, and I'm very right-handed when I do this, so we roll it up. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. All right. If it comes together completely and covers it, great. Okay, so if you can kind of pull it together, that's fantastic. Probably had a little too much pork in there. Then all I want to do is just cover this over. I like to pull it kind of tight. Okay, and then I'll flatten it out a little bit, and then I'll finish rolling it. Then we're going to fold this end in. Okay, so it's open just like this. We got it? What camera are we on, Joyce?
Yeah, you're good.
We're good? Okay. And then we're just going to take one of our corn husks. Tear off a small piece, and that's just going to be a way for us to tie those together. Okay? Just sort of tie that up. So that's what the finished product looks like. That's what the whole tray looks like. And then we have to put these in the steamer and cook them for about an hour. Okay? So we're going to show you, there's a way that you want to do that. In our steamer, I like to put a bowl right in the middle so that it keeps these upright, because you need to have these standing with the open side up. Okay? We're going to put some of the husks on the bottom so that the bottoms of these don't get wet. So that's going to help protect it. And we're going to put some more on the top once we get them all in there. And again, that kind of helps the steam rock and roll and do its thing and cook these all the way through. Then it's going to take about an hour to get those cooked. But we'll show you as we start putting them in the steamer, we'll show you how you want to stack those up, okay? So we'll cut away to that and show you here in just a moment. All right, we've assembled all our tamales. We have our steamer pot all set to go. Joyce, get a shot down in here. Here's what you want to do. You need to put some corn husks on the bottom to keep them from getting wet. We put a bowl in there to keep them from falling together. We want these to stay upright the whole time. And we're just going to put our last few in here. Got room for one more. There we go. All right, we're going to put a lid on this and we're going to steam it for about an hour, and they'll get nice and tender and cooked together, and we'll show you what that looks like as far as the final plating here a little bit later.
Now, you had mentioned earlier that you were going to cover them with corn husks too.
You know what? That's a good point, because I completely forgot that. We do need to cover those. So I actually had forgot. I had them sitting over here and forgot all about it.
Just making sure.
Yeah, I just forgot. Okay.
Inquiring minds want to know.
I know. So just throw a few corn husks over there. Okay. Just want to keep all that steam in there. I completely forgot about it. I would have remembered it after we went off camera. And a couple more, just small ones. We'll cover it all up. All right, we're going to put a lid on it anyway, but this helps hold everything in place.
Yeah, and this is just one of those blue and white canning pots that we have, and it's got this little strainer thing in the bottom of it is what we're using, so nothing fancy.
Yeah, so we have an inch or so of water in there, and that's just going to steam. So we got this over medium-high heat, just bringing it up to a nice simmer and let it steam again for about an hour. And we will show you the finished product here in just a little bit. And we've got a great side dish for our Cinco de Mayo class today. We are doing frijoles. Okay, so here's how you prep these. Yesterday, we put our pinto beans in a pot of water with about a quart of water, and we just let it hang out overnight. Next day, today, we drained those, we put them back in a pot, we covered those over with water, and we turned the heat on, and we added some onions, some garlic, some chopped onions, garlic, salt, and pepper. So this would be a good time. Joyce is going to go over all of the ingredients that went in here, and while she's doing that, I'm going to start to mash these beans. They're getting soft, and I want to get them ready. So Joyce, tell us what's in here.
Alrighty, this is going to serve 8 to 10, just depends on your serving size. Again, you need 1 pound of dry pinto beans, 1 onion diced, 1 clove of garlic minced, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of pepper, 3/4 cup butter melted, and 1 cup shredded cheddar cheese.
All right, so again, just heating these beans back up.
These probably cooked on the stove for a couple hours, and you want to keep adding water as the water cooks down. You want to keep adding water.
Don't burn the beans.
You just want to kind of keep them covered a little bit. You don't want them like soup, but you need that moisture in there.
So I want these mostly mashed. Well, I still have a few whole beans, but the beans are nice and soft and tender because of that cooking process. So I've got that all in there. Now I'm going to add our butter. I'm not going to put all of this in there right now, but we're going to add most of that in there. And at this point, I just want to stir these. So just continue to cook these. It's going to take 5 minutes or so for them to absorb all that butter and cook in there. We'll add the remaining butter at the end and cook that a little bit more. All right, our beans have been cooking for a little bit. I'm going to put in that remaining butter. Once your beans look nice, pulled together just like that. Okay, we don't see any butter floating on top. That's ready to go. So I can take these off the heat. And then we have a 9x13 cake pan. We're going to pour all of these in there. Spread them out evenly. And then we want to take our shredded cheddar cheese. And you know what, Joyce? A little cheese is good.
A lot of cheese is better.
There you go.
Frijoles.
Frijoles.
Frijole. It's just beans and cheese.
Peasant food. Perfect for Cinco de Mayo, right?
Yep. And these are going to go in an oven. I think it's a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes. You just want to
absolutely correct.
Heat them through and melt that cheese and
So we're going to stick them in that oven and we'll show you what they look like when they come out. They'll be nice and bubbly and hot and perfect. We'll show you there in just a minute. All right, it's time for our final side dish for our Cinco de Mayo class. We're making my Spanish rice. We make this all the time. Every time I do a Mexican class, this is a must. It's just a great way to do it. And we're going to teach you some things about making rice that maybe is not what your mother taught you. Okay? So we have to get some vegetables ready to go. Oh, actually, before we do this, let's go over the ingredients. Why don't we do that? Joyce, tell us what's in this today.
All right. This is going to serve 10 to 12 people. You need 2 ounces of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 onion finely chopped, 1 green bell pepper seeded and the ribs removed, 1 cup whole kernel corn, 3 tablespoons of minced garlic, 2 cups long grain rice. We're using basmati, 8 ounces of tomato sauce, 2 cups of water, 2 cups of chicken broth, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of cumin.
That's easy for you to
no,
say.
No, it's not.
I was going to ask you sure that is it kernel corn or is it general corn? I don't know. It's getting late in the day, y'all. All right, first thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and chop up our bell pepper. Again, we just go through the top. If you do it right, you end up with just that piece, wherever we're at. Okay. Get our stem out of the way. Then we just run our knife through here, cut out all the membrane. That was growing a pepper inside the pepper.
I've seen that before.
That happens occasionally. Get rid of that into our garbage bowl. All right, we're just going to do a 1/4-inch julienne first. Got heat on now. Then we just want to come back and put a 1/4-inch dice on this. These all stacked together. And we'll go ahead and dice up our bottom and top. Really like when I'm doing the onions and pepper in this, I like them to be about the same size. So about a 1/4 inch on both of these. All right. So we have that going on for us. We remove this out of the way. And we're going to bring our stove over here. Let me get a couple things over here, Joyce. So our butter's all melted. The first thing we want to do is typical instructions for rice is to put liquid in here, bring it to a boil, then add the rice, let it come back to a simmer, turn it down to, down to a simmer and put a lid on it, go for 20, 25 minutes. So for making Spanish rice, we're going to start with the butter, and we're going to add to that some onion. And our bell pepper that we just cut up. We'll saute that around a little bit. And what we're doing here is we're letting those vegetables release all their liquid. Okay, we want to get that out into the pan. And this is going to be the liquid that our rice is going to absorb. Instead of putting the chicken stock or, heaven forbid, only water, we're going to use the natural vegetable juice that comes from sweating these veggies here. This takes 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add our corn. Let that heat through. It has some water in it as well. All right, now we can add our garlic. And now, as you can see, Joyce, if you get a shot of that straight down in there, we have quite a bit of liquid that's in the bottom of our pan. That's what we were going for. It's starting to smell good. Now we're going to go ahead and add our rice. And again, this is our basmati rice. And we're going to stir that around until it absorbs all of that liquid that we have in the bottom of our pan. This is going to make perfect fluffy rice with great flavor. Just stirring this around, getting all the rice wet from that liquid, and giving it an opportunity to cook in there. That rice is longing for a liquid to absorb. And it's just about got all of it in there. Now we need to add our tomato sauce. Now, I don't know where you buy your rice, but where I buy mine, it doesn't come red. This is how you turn Spanish rice red. You add the tomato sauce. We're going to stir that around just really quick. Let it coat all the rice. And Joyce, I can tell already just by stirring this that rice has already begun to soften.
I can see.
Yeah, this is what you want. And then some cumin. And now we get to add our chicken stock. Now, if you want this to be vegetarian, you could totally use vegetable stock. That's okay. It works just as well. I just really try not to use water. I want lots of flavor in my Spanish rice. So we're going to stir this around. We're going to let it come back up to a boil. And then I'm going to turn it down into a simmer. And we're going to put a lid on it. We're going to let it go for usually 15 to 20 minutes. And I'm going to check it. Spanish rice, because of the tomato sauce and everything else, has a little bit more liquid than the traditional way I do it, which usually 15 minutes. Rice is done. But we do want it to absorb all of this liquid. So it might take us 20, could even take as long as 25. But we want to start checking that at about 15, 20 minutes to make sure that it doesn't dry up. Okay? So we're going to get this back to a boil, turn it down, put a lid on it, and then we'll show you what it looks like when we get everything all done. Hey, now it's time to show you what we cooked up today and the plating. Of course, we made our wonderful pork tamales. We've topped that with some of our Chipotle Mojo sauce and garnished with just a little bit of queso cheese. We have our wonderful Spanish rice, all nice and fluffy, perfectly cooked. And then we have our frijoles, which we put in the oven, melted the cheese over the top. I am anxious to get a bite of this, especially these tamales. They look and smell so good. So I want to cut me a little piece of that. I want some sauce and cheese with that. Need some pork. That pork is perfectly seasoned. The masa, the cornmeal, perfectly cooked around it. Nice little background tomatoey flavor with the mojo sauce and the cheese. Super delicious. I'm going to give our rice a try. It's our Spanish rice. Great flavor. Very fluffy. Very tender. Again, the key's not to overcook it. It took us 15 minutes and it was ready to go. So don't overcook it. And then our frijoles. Give those a try as well. Spot on. I'm telling y'all, you got to make this stuff. So if you can find this recipe, it's out on our website, powderfamsauces.com. So go out and check it out. And when you make it, and I know you will, we want you to post it out on our Facebook page, our Pastor's Pantry Facebook page, so we can brag about you and tell the world what you're making. We always love good food porn out there. And then if you'd like to see the filming of this episode and a whole lot more great recipes, go out to our brand new YouTube channel, the Pastor's Pantry Cooking School. Check them all out and enjoy them. Listen, folks, it's been a blast. I hope you have a great Cinco de Mayo wherever you're at today, and make this soon. Blessed cooking.